With the holidays approaching, it's time to see if one brand of canned pumpkin squashes the competition. So we picked up 4 different brands of canned pumpkin. They range in price from $147 to $289. We have the Market Pantry from Target. We have One Pie, traditional New England. We have LIBBY'S, probably the most widely sold. And then we have Farmer's Market, the only organic brand in the selection. Despite having only just one ingredient, that being pumpkin, they all have a slight variation in nutritional value. It pretty much goes this way. LIBBY'S to the most nutritious being the Farmer's Market. And the reason behind that is because the USDA doesn't distinguish between what we think of as traditional pumpkin and certain varieties of winter squash. So what you might be eating is something closer to a butternut squash rather than what we would think of as pumpkin. So let's taste this. We're going to start with the lowest priced, Market Pantry. Smells like pumpkin. Has a nice thick consistency to it. Pretty good shade of orange. It's pretty rich, although I just crunched on a bit of almost like a sand type texture. Not a lot of it, but just enough that it hit me. Just a nice thick consistency. Tastes like pumpkin. I didn't get any sand that time. It's not bad. We'll use this one as a baseline. Next, we'll do One Pie. So it's a little more orange than the Market Pantry. Still looks to have a nice thick consistency to it. Just smells like pumpkin, nothing off. New clean spoon. There is something about it that just tastes off. Almost like someone squashed up baby aspirin and mixed it with pumpkin pie. No. Next. Now for the LIBBY'S. Still looks nice and thick. Smells good. Smells like a slightly sweeter pumpkin. I'm just looking at little bits on the surface, almost like they ground in some of the outer shell of the squash. The sweetest one so far, and there's that little crunch of like a grain of sand or something in it. A little sweeter, tastes like pumpkin. It'd make a good pie so far. And finally, we're going to do the Farmer's Market. Kind of looks like an orange version of canned cranberry sauce. It is by far the palest one of the bunch. And it looks a lot more congealed than the others. So this one has a slightly different smell than the others. It's less of what I think of as a traditional pumpkin scent. Let's taste it. It also tastes different than all the others. Has a much more of a squash taste to it than a pumpkin per se taste to it. But I can't get over the texture. The texture is just congealed baby food. Perhaps the nutritional value of this one is higher because they aren't using the same variety of pumpkin or winter squash. As you can see, the color variation is significant in the organic version. So, here's our roundup. One Pie. Probably best left to feeding your constipated dogs and cats. Farmer's Market Organic, if you're super health conscious and don't mind that it doesn't taste like pumpkin per se, perfectly fine. LIBBY'S, probably the one I would choose to eat directly out of the can. It's just a little sweeter than the rest of them, has good consistency, good pumpkin flavor. But if you are on a budget, the Market Pantry from Target, pretty close. Not as sweet, but if you're making pumpkin pie, you'll never notice the difference. So if you're making pie this season, I would go with LIBBY'S. And if you're on a budget, Market Pantry. Peter, pumpkin eater, had a wife and couldn't keep her. Was probably feeding her this one.